Hey, what's up, y'all? Your boy Blue up on here. I'm just chilling, smoking a cigar, hoping someone can buy me a beer. Donate on Cash App. What up, whoever's watching? Hoping someone can buy me a beer. What up, two viewers?
I ain't going no. Well, let me see.
A few hours after Russ Stager's death, Detective Rick Buchanan went to the Stager home to ask some routine questions. When he got there, Barbara Stager's father was removing the bloody sheets, pillow, and bedspread. Since the death had been ruled accidental, the bedding was not considered evidence. It was Buchanan's first interview with Barbara Stager.
She was a little withdrawn, perhaps, but she was not overly friendly. She was not boo-hoo all the way through the interview.
Barbara Stager repeated her account of her husband's death, saying the gun went off accidentally as she pulled it from under her husband's pillow. She told Buchanan that her 9 years of marriage to Russ had been happy, that he was a great father to her 2 young boys.
Something wasn't right. I could put my finger on it. I didn't know exactly what it was, but it still wasn't enough to indicate anything other than accidental shooting.
The news of Russ Stager's death was particularly troubling to his first wife, Jolene.
My reaction was it was no accident. And that's what I said to my parents. And I remember my dad said, you can't know that it was no accident. You can suspect, but you can't know. And I said, no, I know that it was no accident.
Okay.
There's a new sauce in town. In your snack wrap, Buffalo Ranch, tangy, creamy, a little mild, and a little wild. Buffalo Ranch snack wraps for a limited time at McDonald's.
USA Safe Pilot, I can save my road trip safely.
Or USA Safe Pilot, I can save when I vacation.
Yeah, with Safe Pilot, you can save when you drive.
Or with Safe Pilot Miles, you can save when you don't.
This little light of mine has been dark for quite some time. Then I let in the light to help see more of the light inside.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta, proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone. Building on my progress without starting over, weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
Help see more of the light inside me.
There's a new sauce in town. In your snack wrap, Buffalo Ranch, tangy, creamy, a little mild, and a little wild. Buffalo Ranch snack wraps for a limited time at McDonald's.
He's resting right now, so
Jolene wrote a letter to police because Russ often confided in her. Russ told her that Barbara removed large sums of money from their bank account and that he suspected Barbara was having sexual affairs with other men. He had once caught her kissing another man in a parking lot. When investigators looked into Barbara Stager's background, they learned some surprising information about her first marriage.
Her first husband had died in bed and was killed at the business end of a .25 caliber pistol. And so now we have a lady who's had two husbands killed in bed with a .25 caliber gun. And on both occasions, she was present.
Barbara's first husband, Larry Ford, had been cleaning his .25 caliber pistol when it accidentally discharged, shooting him in the chest. Although the death of Larry Ford had been ruled an accident, his family vigorously fought to have the case investigated as a possible murder. But the ruling was never changed. Barbara inherited Larry Ford's entire estate, and suspicions remained. Investigators now had another suspicious death and more questions about the same woman.
I desperately wanted to know the truth. I wanted a full-blown investigation. If it was accidental, I wanted that to be known. But if it was not accidental, as I so suspected, I wanted that to come out too.
90% of what we do is common sense, and then we apply the other 10% to law. And if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, my God, it's gonna be a duck.
Was it possible that Barbara Steger was not unlucky at all? It was, in fact, a serial killer. The death of Barbara Steger's first husband, Larry Ford, by an accidental self-inflicted.
Yeah, Michael Cash comes around once in a while.
Officially been declared an accident, and after 10 years, the case had long been forgotten. But shortly before his death, it had clearly been on the mind of Russ Steger, Barbara's second husband. Russ Steger told his ex-wife Jolene that he feared for his own life.
He also knew that her first husband had died under somewhat mysterious circumstances. And so when he put all of that together, I think he was a little concerned for his safety, but it mostly he felt paranoid.
According to Barbara Steger, the gun under her husband's pillow had gone off accidentally as she tried to remove it. Barbara said the gun had a hair trigger and that she had barely touched it before.
Yeah, Marty used to fuck with Michael Cash.
Firearms expert Eugene Bishop performed what's known as
Had him pretty worked up a few times.
weights are attached to the trigger in 1 pound increments to measure the force required to pull the trigger. The gun had a 4 pound trigger pull, which is no air trigger. Deliberate force would be required to fire the gun, a contradiction of Barbara Steger's story. In the autopsy, medical investigators discovered another discrepancy. The trajectory of the fatal bullet was not consistent with Barbara Steger's account. The bullet struck Russ Steger's head in a downward angle. Barbara claimed that the gun fired as he pulled it from under the pillow, which would have sent the bullet in an upward trajectory.
The angle of the trajectory would indicate that she was above and behind Russ when the shot was fired. So it was the autopsy was inconsistent with the story she was telling.
The spent shell casing was found just inches from the gun near Russ Steger's head. Eugene Bishop test-fired the pistol and found that ejected shell casings to the right and rear of the shooter, which meant if Barbara's version was correct, the shell casing should have been found somewhere in the middle of the bed.
As far as the story concerned, was not what she was saying in her story did not coincide with my finding. Looking at the crime scene pictures of the cartridge case itself, where it was laying on the bed, it could not have been fired as she said it was fired.
When any firearm is discharged, dust, oil, and gunpowder are expelled from the barrel. If Barbara's version was correct, powder burns would have been present on the sheets. The sheets had been removed by Barbara's father immediately after the shooting and had been laundered. But powder residue can be identified, even after fabrics had been washed. When the sheets were examined, scientists found no evidence of gunpowder residue. With all of these contradictions, Detective Rick Buchanan asked Barbara Steger to demonstrate on videotape what happened on the morning of the accident.
So I'm standing face to face with the killer. I know it, but she don't know I know it.
With the detective playing the part for
Blue, do miss story time with Red Hood. Yeah.
Her version of the story.
Now, don't know how it was in my hand. I have no idea. I don't know.
and almost immediately she realizes there are inconsistencies.
Yeah, wait a minute. Okay. And then I'll start getting up. Okay. I'll start getting up with it in my head, but I don't know how. Okay.
But she's repositioning the body in the bed where they're trying to make it fit her story. And she can't do it. She's a lying ass bitch. And that was probably vocalized. As I watched the video and replayed it and replayed it and replayed it. There was no doubt at all that she intentionally shot and killed West State. No doubt whatsoever.
Police also doubted that Russ Steger, a member of the United States National Guard with weapons training, would have placed a loaded pistol under his pillow with the safety turned off and cocked with a round already in the chamber. This, along with Barbara Steger's videotape
Not me and Tony are cool.
to convince investigators that Russ Steger's death was no accident. But investigators were not prepared for the next clue in the case, a message from the victim himself.
This is Russ Steger. This is January 29th, 1988.
Who else was there that was a worthy opponent to you, Blue? I don't know. Big Will made a video about you bet he misses being on your show, laughing my ass off. Yeah.
To get out from there. Heard the noise. Shot.
Evidence was mounting that Russ Steger's death was not the accident claimed by his wife Barbara. But if she had killed him in cold blood, as police suspected, they needed to find the motive. For that, they looked into the couple's financial records. Though the Stegers had a modest income, Russ was a school teacher, Barbara a secretary. Barbara was known for spending extravagantly, and the couple was deeply in debt.
We learned that Barbara had become involved in some debt. And this apparently was without Russ's knowledge. It appeared to be credit card debt, among other things.
Records of the Stegers' bank transactions were sent to forensic documents examiner Durwood Matheny. He compared Russ Steger's known signatures to signatures found on that second bank loan, as well as his will. which had been revised only months before his death.
They brought to me a will, some check, and other documents that they're signed with the name Russell Stager, but that it was not his signature. On the will, I determined that the simulation of the signature of which someone trying to make it look like his signature.
If Russ Stager hadn't signed these documents, who did?
It was actually forged checks where Russ Stager's account was being drawn upon and the money was being deposited in Barbara Stager's account. So all of the financial evidence tended to show that Barbara was in debt and Russ did not know about it.
The beneficiary of the forged life insurance policy with a payout of $170,000 was none other than his wife, Barbara Stager. The final piece of evidence in the case came from a most unlikely source. At Durham High School, one of Russ Stager's students was cleaning a gym locker when he came upon a cassette tape. The voice on the tape was one he recognized immediately.
Yes, it's Russ Stager. This is January 29th, 1988. 10 minutes or 2. She stood there.
The tape was recorded just 3 days before Russ Stager's death. On the tape, he confided his belief that his wife, Barbara, was planning to kill him.
Let's be nice. Barbara just woke me up and gave me what she said was too aspirin. She stood there to see if I took it. I did not take it.
Russ Stager went on to question the allegedly accidental death of Barbara's first husband.
The first one, I don't know what happened, but according to his parents, there was some foul play going on. He supposedly accidentally shot himself in their bedroom. My question is, did her husband, Larry Ford, accidentally shoot himself? Sometimes I wonder.
Listening to that tape was surreal. I had never, ever experienced anything quite like that in prosecution, where you try a case, person for homicide, and yet the victim, who you represent, who has no voice in the courtroom, is now telling you what he is feeling, experiencing, and worried about immediately prior to his execution, so to speak.
Investigators now had both evidence and motive. Barbara Stager was arrested on a charge of first-degree murder.
Here are these.
Prosecutors believe that Barbara Stager had been planning her husband's death for weeks. First with poison, and when that was unsuccessful, with a gun. Shortly before dawn, prosecutors believed that Barbara removed the .25 caliber handgun from its usual place in the dresser drawer.
Yeah, I know, right? So,
Walked over to her sleeping husband and fired to the back of his head. The bullet entered at a downward angle. She was also standing above the bed, which explains the lack of powder burns on the bed. To stage the scene, Barbara placed the spent shell casing just inches from her husband's head, which was a mistake. If the gun went off as she pulled it from under the pillow, as she claimed, the shell casing would have ejected to the right, towards the foot of the bed. The angle of the bullet, the placement of the shell casing, the lack of powder burns, the forged will, and life insurance policy, and, most damning of all, Russ Stager,
all right then, so
his own murder on audio tape, made a compelling case to jurors.
Without the forensics of this cut, there would be nothing but theory and speculation. And you can't prosecute theory and speculation. You've got to have physical evidence. That's where the forensics came.
Barbara Stager was found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to death. Her sentence was later reduced to life in prison after an appeal.
think those of us who cared so deeply for us ranted and raved and felt this was so unfair, to take someone so special and so kind. And there's never an answer to why. There's never an answer to why evil wins sometimes.
Prosecutors also suspect that Barbara Steger was responsible for her first husband's death. But with her current life sentence, they see no need for further prosecution.
This case was a terrible tragedy. A good man, not just one, but two, are gone. And they're gone forever because of the criminal conduct of Barbara Steger. And our court system worked. It covered the truth. The verdict was rendered and justice was done.
You needed appliance. You need it fast. So we offer next day delivery on hundreds of appliances. Plus, members save more. And we'll haul away your old one. When you need it fast, we've got you covered. Shop Lowe's today. We help, you save. So when you need an appliance, you need it fast. So we offer next day delivery on hundreds of appliances. Plus, members save more. And we'll haul away your old one. When you need it fast, we've got you covered. Shop Lowe's today. We help, you save. When you need an appliance, you need it fast. So we offer next day delivery on hundreds of appliances. Plus, members save more. And we'll haul away your old one. When you need it fast, we've got you covered. Shop Lowe's today. We help, you save. Lowe's knows when you need an appliance, you need it fast. So we offer next day delivery on hundreds of appliances. Plus, members save more. And we'll haul away your old one. When you need it fast, we've got you covered. Shop Lowe's today. We help, you save.
This little light of mine has been dark for quite some time. Then I let in the light to help me move the lights.
I needed more from my antidepressant. My doctor added Caplyta, proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone. Building on my progress without starting over, aid gain in reported sexual side effects for not-women.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
More of the lights.
In the backwoods of Georgia, in a dilapidated house, a 49-year-old recluse named Virginia Ridley was found dead. A medical examiner ruled the death a homicide. But who would murder someone who seldom ventured out of their home? Investigators found some clues in the note she had written shortly before her death. Ringgold, Georgia, is a small rural town located at the base of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Life is simple here. The main street has only 3 traffic lights, and most of the town's 750 residents know or do business with each other. Alvin Ridley was a well-known figure in Ringgold. At one time, he ran the town's only television repair shop. In 1966, he married 18-year-old Virginia Hickey, and almost immediately, Virginia cut off all contact with her family. Alvin said it was because her family was too intrusive. Virginia's sister, Trixie LaCroix, says Alvin forced Virginia to stay away from
Blackjack, you're visiting me. Hey, Blackie.
Every death, every birthday,
Blackjack.
nothing's ever acknowledged. Nothing.
What's up, little buddy?
My father went to his grave after making every effort possible to try to see his daughter. Never having seen her.
Yes, that's my little buddy.
Then accepted Mr. Whitney.
Alvin Ridley had a reputation in Ringgold, and it wasn't a particularly good one. He was known for filing lawsuits against anyone he felt had wronged him, and in the process, he had made a lot of enemies.
Always accusing. He's very suspicious. He trusts no one, really. And so that obviously put him at odds with a lot of people, city government, licensing issues, city chief of police, of course, the county sheriff.
Ow.
In 1984, after a minor traffic accident, he filed a series of legal
Ow.
and got hit with a countersuit. He lost and had to forfeit his van as payment.
July 1984, they seized my van without due process of law, without a fair hearing. And it, somewhere in there, it turned all the customers, friends, suppliers, dealers, creditors against me, and they wanted to sell me no more products, so forced me out of this.
The loss of his van meant the failure of his television repair business, which started a further downward spiral. He was known as Crazy Alvin by the townspeople. His reputation was not helped by the fact that no one had seen Alvin's wife, Virginia, not even her family, in the 30 years he was married to Alvin.
What I couldn't understand
That's
is that
disgusting.
family. Why did she not go to the door for friends? So that kind of made me believe that maybe possibly he had given her instructions not to. He got angry at her, maybe told her not to. And the thought crossed my mind, maybe she was being kept captive.
I'm going to pick you up now, Blackjack.
Ridley's secluded house.
There's my little buddy.
Gossip. But on the morning of October 4th, 1997, it became news. Virginia Ridley was found dead,
Meow.
fully clothed. At the time medical
Meow.
personnel arrived, rigor mortis had set in, an indication that he'd been dead for
Meow.
8 hours. Trixie LaCroix was asked to identify her sister's body.
I could not do it. I could not do it. So my sister's husband was with her, and the two of them went in, and she came back out and she said, you know, I'm so glad you didn't go in. It was not a pretty thing. She said, her hair has not been combed in years. It's just, it has so many knots in it. It has not been combed in years. She can't weigh 90 pounds. She's skin stretched over bone.
New rumors began to surface in Ringgold, Georgia, about Alvin Ridley and the role he might have played in his wife's death. In October of 1997, Virginia Ridley was found dead in a house with no phone, no running water, and infested with ants and cockroaches. She had been dead at least 8 hours before medical personnel arrived, which prompted questions. Why had it taken her husband Alvin so long to call for help? Virginia's sister Trixie LaCroix believes if he had called earlier, her sister might still be alive.
There's no doubt in my mind that this man was responsible, directly or indirectly, for my sister's death. You cannot convince me of anything else.
Investigators traced Alvin's steps on the morning of Virginia's death. Alvin said that when he woke up, his wife was dead. He got into his truck and went looking for a telephone. He admitted driving by the local fire station, which could have provided emergency assistance. Instead,
What up, 3 viewers?
he continued driving to a telephone outside of town. He did not call the local hospital 10 minutes away. Instead, he called a hospital in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It was 30 miles away. They told him to dial 911 for local assistance, which he finally did, leaving this message.
911, where's your emergency? 134 Interstate. What's the problem? What? 134 Inman Street? Yeah. Is she breathing? I don't think so. It's still trying to pay the phone booth. You don't have a phone at your house? There's no phone. There's no phone there.
Investigators were struck by the lack of concern in Alvin's voice. It was unlike most emergency calls they received. The initial examination of Virginia's body was done by the local coroner, Benita Hollander. In Virginia's eyes, the coroner found petechial hemorrhages, which are broken blood vessels often seen in cases of strangulation or smothering deaths.
The scene is a female in her late 40s. The scene is malnourished, fetal hemorrhages of
The next day, a full autopsy was performed. The medical examiner, Dr. Frederick Hellman, found something not noted during the initial examination: deep bruising on the muscles of Virginia Ridley's neck, another possible indication of strangulation. Virginia Ridley's death was ruled a homicide, and her husband Alvin was charged with murder. To those in Ringgold who knew Alvin Ridley as Crazy Alvin, the news came as no surprise.
Is your cat too cool for the holidays? Yeah, implementation is training correct.
Itchy Tyler, that itch boy red my skin. Gets another flare up, eczema on his skin. Mommy wants to help you more than you can drink. So let's try a little dab of Fitama cream.
Fitama cream is a prescription topical treatment for eczema in adults and children down to 2 years of age. The most common side effects in patients with eczema treated with Fitama cream were upper respiratory tract infection, red raised bumps around the hair pores, known as folliculitis, lower respiratory tract infection, headache, asthma, vomiting, ear infection, pain in extremity, and stomach area pain.
Hey, Trey.
Yeah. All right.
Chunky magic.
Where's she at?
Who's it? Chunky. Food that he's like good.
thought he killed his wife back in the 60s or the early 70s. There was even talk that he killed her a long, long time ago. And then one day he calls 911. There's a basically dead body in the bed, and that's his wife.
Because of the petechial hemorrhages in the eyes and the condition of the body, the coroner suspected foul play, and police could find no indication that Virginia had received routine medical care in the recent past.
I think they checked the 50 to 100-mile radius. No doctor, no physician, no pharmacy, no hospital. This girl had not been anywhere in 30 years.
The town of Ringgold was gearing up for the biggest trial in its history, and investigators were in for another surprise when Alvin Ridley gave his explanation for how his wife died. Trixie LaCroix regularly visits the grave of her sister, a woman with whom she has more contact in death than she did in life. That's because Trixie and the rest of her family hadn't seen Virginia at all during the 30 years she lived with Alvin Ridley, the man now accused of her murder.
I will say this, that if there is a God Almighty above, if there is a day of reckoning for all of us, which I believe there is, I would not want to begin.
Alvin Ridley steadfastly maintained his innocence.
Doctor said, depressed, I lost a love with Carolina. We've been married 30 years. Sweet, happy Christian married life. I never hit her a time. She never hit me a time while we were married. Of course, we got in a few arguments. That's all.
Alvin's defense attorney, McCracken Poston, knew that the case against his client wouldn't be easy. Alvin's reputation and behavior after his wife's death made his defense a unique challenge.
Several members of my family just said, he's crazy, he's capable of anything. I was about to get married, and several members of my wife's family were fearful of my getting involved in defending Alvin. Alvin had developed for himself somewhat of a reputation as a panhandler or a con man.
Poston visited Alvin's rundown house on the edge of town, and amid the cockroaches and broken windows, saw something he hadn't expected. The walls of the house were plastered with handwritten notes.
Some were letters to Congress that Alvin had written, but I began to notice a distinct handwriting. I knew it was not Alvin's. I asked him, who wrote this? He said, well, Virginia did. And I grabbed a piece off the wall and I said, Alvin, this will save you. I've got to have all of this.
There were hundreds of notes, all apparently in Virginia Ridley's handwriting. Some dealt with everyday matters like what she had watched on television. In notebooks, entire chapters of the Bible had been transcribed repeatedly, but most were love letters to Alvin. Ken Poston did not believe the love notes were the writings of a woman being held against her will, but could he prove to a jury that Virginia had actually written the notes? Brian Carney, a forensic document examiner, analyzed the letters. Carney had little to work with, but he did have some known signatures of Virginia Ridley on some official documents written years earlier, and he found a number of unspeakable similarities.
The obvious features that you can see just at a glance are, for example, the three eyes in Virginia's are very tall, comparatively speaking. They're lowercase letter forms, cursive writing, but if you were to draw a horizontal line right across the top of this eye all the way to the end of the name, you would see that all of the eyes are taller than the other internal letter forms. And you scan down through the series in comparison of question to known, you can clearly see that the side feature is a habitual writing movement of this particular writer.
And I was able to state that there were strong indications that Virginia was the writer of the comparable entries. So what we're essentially talking about is those letter combinations that are the same as the name Virginia, and the signatures that have the given name Virginia.
Virginia's family told investigators that Virginia suffered from epilepsy as a child. Epilepsy is a neurological condition in which uncontrolled electrical charges from the cerebral cortex can result in violent seizures and convulsions. According to her writings, Virginia had stopped taking her epilepsy medication years earlier, relying instead on her faith in God to heal her. The defense consulted Dr. Braxton Wanamaker, who is a neurologist. He said the petechial hemorrhages around Virginia's eyes were consistent with what is called sudden death epilepsy. Dr. Wanamaker says sudden death
Someone buy me a beer.
who stop taking their medication or haven't been properly diagnosed.
I had other patients who are sleeping with their spouses and they wake up and find that their spouse is dead. So people may or may not witness the seizure, and there are some of us who are not certain that all of these deaths are associated with seizure per se, but may have some epileptic activity in the brain that changes heart rhythms or changes respiratory mechanisms such that people die from that.
Alvin Ridley said his wife had seizures on a regular basis. He said she had a particularly bad one on the night before she died.
After she had a seizure and got over it, I said, "Are you going to be all right?" And she smiled at me and said, "Yes, I live." So, thought she'd be all right, so I went off to sleep.
But according to Alvin, she was dead when he tried to wake her the next day. Alvin said the seizures were the reason no one had seen Virginia in all those years. She was so embarrassed about her seizures, she wanted no contact with the outside world, not even her family. But the defense had won the last hurdle. How to explain the bruising on Virginia Ridley's neck, evidence that the medical examiner said pointed to homicide.
This little mine has been dark for quite some time. Then I let in the light to help see more than I decided.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta, proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone. Building on my progress without starting over, weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
Opioid addiction can be a daily challenge, but it may be possible to get a month of mornings without being reminded of it with long-acting Brixadi. Brixadi with counseling is for adults with moderate to severe opioid addiction who have been on or started treatment with a dose of oral buprenorphine. Brixadi is a monthly or weekly injection that contains buprenorphine, which can block the rewarding effects of opioids. Brixadi can cause life-threatening reactions and death if injected into a vein. Buprenorphine can cause life-threatening breathing problems or death when used with opioids, benzodiazepines, alcohol, CNS depressants, or street drugs. Get emergency help with faint, dizzy, confused, sleepy, uncoordinated, have blurred vision, slurred speech, or slow breathing. Don't receive Brixadi if allergic. Other serious side effects include physical dependence or abuse, liver problems, withdrawal, or decreased blood pressure. Common side effects include injection site reactions, headache, constipation, nausea, trouble sleeping, or UTI. Focus on where you're going versus where you've been. Talk to your doctor or visit Brixadi.com.
Judge Ralph Van Pelt presided over Alvin Ridley's murder trial and immediately had him evaluated by a psychologist.
He certainly probably would have qualified, I think, for mentally ill under the Georgia statute, but that's only if you're found guilty, but mentally ill. The report indicated that he was competent to stand trial, to assist his attorney in the defense. You right or wrong.
Alvin's defense team needed to refute the prosecution's contention that the bruises on Virginia Ridley's neck were evidence of strangulation. Dr. Robert Goldberg, a forensic pathologist hired by the defense, discovered that an employee in the coroner's office had drawn blood from Virginia Ridley's neck for a toxicology test, which was a complete break from standard procedure.
This is highly irregular and is something that procedurally is an error.
When the autopsy was conducted the next day, Dr. Goldberg believes the needle marks had developed into bruises, which are known as artifact, a term for any changes in the body caused by post-mortem evaluation.
I think it would be absolutely essential that any coroner have some autopsy experience. Even if they don't conduct the autopsy themselves, they should know the appropriate procedures. It was clear to me that this coroner was way out of line with appropriate procedure.
In Georgia, the coroner is an elected official, and this was the first suspicious death Anita Hollander investigated after her election. Alvin's attorney believes that the coroner's inexperience and her own personal suspicions about Alvin Ridley affected her judgment.
That body went to the state crime lab. She accompanied it. She reported when they arrived, this woman has been locked in a basement for 30 years. The state pathologist that conducted the autopsy, I think that was an improper suggestion based on no fact that made it easy for him to conclude homicide by asphyxiation.
Alvin Ridley took the stand in his own defense. He said he drove by the local fire station after his wife's death because he had had a prior run-in with the people there and didn't trust them. He said he called the hospital in Chattanooga because that's where he'd taken his mother years earlier. It was the only facility he was familiar with. After 2 hours of deliberation, the jury acquitted Alvin Ridley of all charges. He claims it was his wife, Virginia, testifying through her letters, who kept him from a life behind bars.
I feel like my life actually in the Lord's sake. And it did.
Alvin Ridley still lives in the same dilapidated home on the outskirts of town and still talks about restarting his television repair business. He visits Virginia's grave regularly, a privilege he enjoys because of the role science played in proving his innocence.
I guess he was a strange man. I understood him to be a hermit. I understood him not to have the social skills that the rest of society has. And unfortunately, I believe that had a great deal to do with the fact that he was tried. Fortunately, the truth went out, and he was acquitted.
If it hadn't been for this scientific evidence, the risk was so high that the local community prejudices and biases about years and years of strange behavior would have been difficult to overcome.
I think it's a story about how the system works. That someone has their right to prove that they're guilty, prove that they did it, reasonable doubt. And the fellow with just the very modest resources was able to come in and prove that he was not guilty. Established that he was not guilty.
Find buzzer beaters and cliffhangers in one place. Get 100 plus channels of movies, TV, and live sports. YouTube TV. Try it free. Terms apply. Cancel anytime.
This great mine has been dark for quite some time. Then I let in the light to help see more of the light inside.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta, proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone. Building on my progress without starting over, weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta. Find buzzer beaters and cliffhangers in one place. Get 100 plus channels of movies, TV, and live sports. YouTube TV. Try it free. Terms apply. Cancel anytime.
An elderly woman was found dead in her hotel room. Was it a natural death or was it murder? An alert doctor noticed a horrible infection on the finger of a hotel worker who had come to the emergency room for treatment of his injury. The virulence of that infection was a clue to the mystery. Cincinnati, the third largest city in Ohio. It was named after the Roman statesman Lucius Cincinnatus, whom legend held to be the model of virtue. But in September of 1994, Rhoda Nathan, a 67-year-old grandmother visiting Cincinnati, saw a different side of the city.
She was such an up person that you could not avoid having a good time with her. She was just a terrific lady.
She checked into this hotel in the Cincinnati suburb of Blue Ash.
It's a pretty nice hotel. It does a pretty good conventional business, and nothing like this had ever happened there before.
Rhoda was sharing room 237 with her best friend of 50 years, Elaine Shue, and Elaine's boyfriend, Joe Kaplan, both visiting from Florida.
They were all there to attend Elaine's grandson's bar mitzvah. On Saturday morning, Joe and Elaine woke early and left the room for breakfast at 7:30. Joe said he pulled the door shut, making sure it was locked. Rhoda stayed behind so she could shower and dress with some privacy. After breakfast, a half hour later, Elaine and Joe returned to the room.
She was completely headed on the side. Probably looked a little purple to me.
Rhoda was barely recognizable.
I thought it was a paper very brown.
Easy, just fine. Harmless, but people are still going to freak out when they see it. Looking ahead now, Delaware lawmakers are again moving forward with hearings regarding the state's controversial property reassessment. The hearings have been put on hold because of a lawsuit in Newcastle County. And that suit came to a conclusion earlier today.
Hey.
Hey, what's up, Amy?
Don't call me that, Ninja.
Don't call you Amy, why not?
Why would I stop calling myself Amy, Ninja?
I don't know, you're confusing me.
I thought we were clear, Ninja. Are you feeling overwhelmed about something?
Nah, I'm alright.
You sure, Ninja?
Yeah.
I'm glad you're feeling okay, Ninja.
Thank you.
Anytime, Ninja.
Yeah, so I'm just chilling, smoking a cigar.
That sounds nice, Ninja. Enjoying the evening.
Yep.
You okay, Ninja?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Good, Ninja.
I wish someone would help me get a beer.
What did you need help doing, Ninja?
I need a beer.
You've got some beer left over from before, right, Ninja?
No.
Did something happen, Ninja?
It's almost time to give my pop-up his antibiotic.
Here you go, Ninja.
Yep.
Are you ready for bed?
Nah, but I'm about to take my night meds after I'm done the cigar.
You taking care of yourself, Ninja?
Yup.
Hey, buddy.
This dog is annoying.
Who's the dog, Ninja?
My neighbor's dog.
Is that little guy barking again, Ninja?
Yeah.
Everything all right, Ninja?
Everything's fine.
I'm glad things are okay, Ninja.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call me that, Ninja.
Don't call you what?
What did you mean by that, Ninja?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You seemed upset when I said don't call me baby. Are everything all right, Ninja?
Sure.
That's good, Ninja.
Yo. Yo.
Hey, Ninja.
Yeah, I'm out on the porch smoking.
You enjoying the fresh air, Ninja?
Okay. Yeah.
Everything okay, Ninja? Everything cool, Ninja?
Alright.
That sounds good, Ninja.
Uh-huh. Bye.
See you later, Ninja.
The joy of whole room freshness. Glade plug-in scented oil fans.
All around you, you don't even know it.
It's the only freshener to use a continuous built-in fan.
It's just there in the air.
Unlike some fresheners that seem strong just around the outlet, the Glade fan continuously circulates fragrance throughout your whole room.
This shit'll blow your motherfucking mind. Magic everywhere in this bitch.
Plug-in scented oil fan from Glade. The
pure motherfucking magic
of fragrance.